Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about the Disney movie Brave. Now Brave starts off with Meredith and her mom playing hide and seek on her birthday when she is a little girl. And her dad comes back with her birthday present that he made for her. And Meredith actually sees her dad's bow and arrow, and Meredith asks, can she play with it? And then her dad says, now why would you want to play with mine when you can have one of your very own? And it turns out that when you can have one of your very own, and it turns out that her dad has made her her very own bow and arrow for her birthday present. So when he teaches her how to shoot it, it goes off into the woods. And then when she goes off into the woods to go get it, she actually sees a wisp. And then the wisp actually leads her to her bow and arrow. And then when she goes back to her mom and dad, she actually says that she actually saw a wisp. And then her mother tells her that a wisp, a wisp can lead you to your destiny. And then a big bear comes out of the woods and tries to attack Meredith's family. But Meredith's dad says, go, get Meredith out of here. Go back home to the castle. So Meredith and her mom go riding off into the castle, and then the movie cuts off, and then we see the title, Brave. And then we see Meredith as a young lady doing her princess lessons. And then Meredith tells her, and then Meredith tells us, the audience, that there is one day where she doesn't have to do princess lessons. And then we see Meredith waking up first thing in the morning, eating breakfast, and actually going riding on her horse while shooting golden arrows, and actually reaching the top of the river, and actually reaching the top of the mountain and drinking from the water stream. And then that night at dinner, it turned out that all the princes have responded to the queen's letter for Meredith to be married to one of the kings that runs the other kingdoms to one of their sons. So the responses have come back, and the mom has told Meredith that she would have to get married to one of these young men. And Meredith says that she is not going through with it. She is not getting married. And then the queen tries to talk to her husband and pretend that her husband is Meredith, so the mom can practice talking to Meredith and telling her that she is only doing this because she loves Meredith, and that she is only telling her to follow tradition because that's the way things have always been. And the thing and she only does the things that she does because she loves Meredith. And then Meredith talks to her horse Angus about how she feels about the arranged marriage. And in the next scene, we see Meredith getting ready for the celebration to meet all the princes. And so, instead of behaving, each king gets in a fight with another king, and then when the king, Meredith's father, stops the fight, it turned out that the boys actually hit one of the kings again, and it turned out that Meredith's brothers actually hit one of the kings, and one of the kings thought it was another king, and so they all got in a fight. Even the king got in a fight, and the queen had to break the fight up. So when she did, she continued her speech about how how only the firstborn may compete for the princess's hand, and the event that you will be participating in will be chosen by the princess herself. So Meredith chooses archery, and then when every suitor that has signed up for her misses the target, Meredith dresses up in a cloak, and she says that she is the firstborn of the queen and the king, and that she will be competing for her own hand. So she hits every arrow on the nose of the target. And after this, her mother takes her to the side, and they end up having a fight, and the mom ends up taking her bow and arrow and actually throwing it into the fire, and then Meredith runs away and gets on her horse, and this is when she sees a wisp again, and then the wisp leads her to a witch's cottage, but the witch says that she is a harmless wood carver. And she tells Meredith, if you're not going to buy anything, then get out. And then every wood and every weapon in the shop starts moving towards Meredith. And Meredith says, I, I, I will buy it all for one spell. And so, Meredith asks for a spell that will change her mom's mind about the marriage. So, the witch gives her a cake, and and when Meredith tries to talk to her mom, she told her mom that she didn't want to do this. And then her mom told her the stories about the three kingdoms and about how one king didn't follow tradition and how the kingdom fell. Now, keep this story in mind. And the witch also says that this isn't the only spell that I granted like yours, A prince asked me once if I could change his fate. And then Meredith asked the witch, did he get what he was after? And then the witch says, oh, yes, he did. Now, keep this in mind because this will come back. And so, when she comes back to the castle, the mom actually tells her that she that she is actually gonna tell the princess that they need to hold off for a minute until Meredith makes up her mind. Hearing this, hear, hearing this, Meredith is surprised, and the mom hugs her and tells her how worried she was, and that the mom actually fixed her bow and arrow that she threw in the fire. But Meredith still gives her the cake to change her mind about the marriage, and the mom's stomach begins to hurt. So she goes to lay down, and then it turned out that the mom ends up turning into a bear because that was a magic spell. And then Meredith ends up telling her mom what happened, and then Meredith comes up with the idea, I need to go see that witch. I need to go see that witch so she can undo the spell that she put on you. So the boys and Meredith actually end up making up a deal that if they help the mom sneak out with Meredith's help, that she will actually give him that she will actually give the boys her free dessert for a year. So Meredith has 3 twin brothers. 3 brothers who are triplets, because there's 3 of them. So keep this in mind, because it will come back. So after they help the mom and Meredith sneak out to get to the witch's cottage, where the wisp led Meredith to. Meredith tells the boys to help yourselves to whatever you want as a reward, and then they eat the cake that the mom ate, and then they turn into bear cubs. And then, while they are traveling, they stop to rest for the night, and then Meredith dreams of her mom as the queen singing her a lullaby to help her fall asleep because it's thunder and lightning, and because it is thundering and lightning, and Meredith is scared of the little thunder and lightning in the rain. Because she's a little girl, and it's just like a very, 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 very sweet and beautiful dream that she had of her mom holding her and rocking her to sleep to take her mind off the lightning and the thunder and in the thunderstorm that was happening outside. So when she wakes up, the mom makes them breakfast. But it turns out that the water and the berries that she gathered for breakfast are okay. The berries have poison in them, and the water has worms in them. So her and Meredith go fishing, and they start playing in the water. It's a very, 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 very sweet and wholesome moment between the 2 characters. It's so cute. Oh, and also, I forgot to tell you, that the mom still has her crown on even as a bear. Oh, and she did try to put her dress on, but it doesn't fit because she's a bear now. So with Meredith's mom being a bear, they go into the woods after she turned into a bear for a split second, and then she comes back to her old self. And then she begins to walk on two legs like a human again. So she actually finds the witch's cottage, and the witch tells her that she forgot to tell her one more thing about the spell, that she only has until the second sunrise, and then after the sun sets on that second sunrise, the mom will be a bear forever. And then after that happens, she tries to figure out what mend the bond means. So Meredith says, oh, we have to fix the quilt. If we fix the quilt, then that means the bond will be mended between us, and everything will go back to normal, and you will become human again. So they go back into the castle with the boys' help. Again, well, actually with the dad distracted, because the dad is having a fight that they just sneak their way in, but then they do catch Meredith, and so Meredith tries to tell the kings and the princess what she has decided to do about the marriage, and then her mom signs to her in bear language that she wants her to break tradition and let the sons and daughters, the prince and princesses, decide who they want to marry and when they want to marry. To let them make up their own mind and to find love in their own time. And then they all agree. And then Fergus, the dad, goes to talk to Eleanor, but he finds out that Eleanor is not there and that they're the bear in the castle, and that since they were looking for a needle and thread, just like in the woods, Meredith's mom turned into a bear once again, and she scratched Meredith. The dad finds this out by running into Meredith's room where Eleanor, the bear, is still. And then Meredith's dad, along with all the other kings and princes that are in the castle. First, he locks Meredith into the room, and then he tells all the kings and princes that they have to kill the bear because the bear killed his wife Eleanor. But Meredith tells him, well, she tries to tell him that this is Mom. This is your wife Eleanor. The bear is her. And so, with the boys being with the boys being bear cubs, they scare poor Aggie, the cook, once again like they did before with the mom being a bear. And so with this, they get the key so Meredith can run out and stop her dad from hurting the mom outside. But outside is sunrise, and then Meredith begins to cry because she found out that she fixed the quilt too late. And so, and so, since she fixed the quilt too late and didn't say the rhyme, it looks like Meredith's mom is gonna stay a bear forever. So Meredith begins to cry, hugging the bear and saying, "You were always there for me, and I am so sorry for what I said. And I love you." And then the mom, with her human hand, hugs Meredith. And then it turned out that the spell did work, and that they fixed their bond, and that the mom is human again, and then the dad says Eleanor, and then he kisses her, and then and then and then Eleanor says, "Fergus, do something. Make them all go away, because I have nothing but a blanket on." And so the king does make them all go away, and the boys change back into little boys again, and then they all share a group hug. Well, the queen did have a cover on, so she wasn't naked. She did have a cover. She had a cover on. So when the boys change back into humans, and when the mom changes back, everybody's happy, and then they share a group hug. And in the next scene, the mom and Meredith makes another quilt, but this time with the mom being a bear and Meredith being herself. And we actually see the king and princess going back home to their castles, and we actually see Meredith and her mom waving goodbye, and then we see Meredith and her mom riding up the mountain on their horses with their hair flying in the wind. The end. Bye, and see you guys in my next video. Bye.